Greetings in the name of the risen, living Lord Jesus Christ. Friends, my name is Chuck Stark, Senior Pastor here at Hickson United Methodist Church, and I'm happy to welcome you to Wonder of God Wednesday. Today, let's think together for just a few moments about something that happened in 1958. It was a very important event. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was signing copies of his book about the Montgomery bus boycott. And a woman came up and stabbed him in the chest. The blade went in so far that the very tip of the blade rested against his aorta, the main artery leaving his heart. And after surgery to repair the wound, the doctors told Dr. King that if he had merely sneezed, that his aorta would have been punctured and he would have bled out in just a few moments. But he hadn't sneezed, and God restored him to full health so he could complete his mission. The person who stabbed him was not a member of the KKK, but was a mentally disturbed person, and a black woman at that. Well, cards and letters poured in from across the nation, and this letter came to him from a 9th grade girl, and it said in part, "While it should not matter, I would like to mention that I am a white girl. And I'm simply writing to you to say I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze." Dr. King never forgot those words of encouragement, and they continued to be an encouragement for him across the years as he received continual death threats. He was attacked by stones. He was frequently arrested and put in jail. His house was bombed. He was even investigated by the FBI on the presumption of being a communist, but he continued his struggle for racial justice. And he prayed that God would remove all bitterness from his heart and would give him strength and courage to face any disaster that came his way. And God gave him that peace. 10 years after that stabbing, he was in Memphis, Tennessee, giving a speech, and during the speech he said, "I'm happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't be around to see all the things that have happened in these 10 years. I wouldn't have seen the 250,000 people who gathered in Washington, D.C. To march for civil rights reform. I wouldn't have seen the Civil Rights Bill of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And then in that same Memphis speech, Dr. King spoke as though God had given him insight into the future and what was to come his way. And he said that evening, "You know, it really doesn't matter what happens now," because he knew in his heart of hearts that he had completed his God-given assignment. And he went on to say that evening, "Listen, well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me, because I've been to the mountaintop, and I don't mind. Like anybody, I'd like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." The next afternoon, Dr. King was standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel where he and his colleagues were staying. And he called out to Ben Branch, who played music for the gathering in Memphis. And he said, "Ben, tonight when you play, be sure to play 'Precious Lord, Take My Hand.' Play it real pretty." Just then, shots rang out, and Dr. King lay dying there on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. 5 days later, Mahalia Jackson at his funeral service sang, "Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on, let me stand." Friends, I don't know what's on your heart, but I pray that those words become a prayer in your heart as well. Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on, let me stand. God bless you.